It is a very interesting question for a super intelligent species. What use are humans?
I think there is some argument for humans as a source of will.
Will.
Will, yeah, source of will or purpose. So if you consider the human mind as being essentially there's the primitive limbic elements, which basically even like reptiles have, and there's the cortex, that's the thinking and planning part of the brain. Now, the cortex is much smarter than the limbic system, and yet is largely in service to the limbic system. It's trying to make the limbic system happy. I mean, the sheer amount of compute that's gone into people trying to get laid is insane. Without actually seeking procreation, they're just literally trying to do the sort of simple motion, and they get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
So this simple, which in the abstract rather absurd motion, which is sex, the cortex is putting a massive amount of compute into trying to figure out how to do that.
हेलो दोस्तों, हम एक नए पॉडकास्ट के साथ यहाँ आए हैं जिसे हम सब मिलकर सुनेंगे और आपको हर बात को और आसान तरीके से समझाएंगे। आप पहले ही थंबनेल देखकर विषय के बारे में जान चुके होंगे। यह पॉडकास्ट द लेक्स फ्रिडमैन पॉडकास्ट का एक विशेष एपिसोड है जिसमें मशहूर उद्यमी और नवोन्मेषक एलन मस्क के साथ गहन चर्चा की गई है। मुख्य विषय न्यूरालिंक और मानवता का भविष्य है। चर्चा में न्यूरालिंक के पहले मानव प्रत्यारोपण इम्प्लांट और इसके प्रभावों पर विशेष ध्यान दिया गया है। पॉडकास्ट में टेलीपैथी, मस्तिष्क की शक्ति, न्यूरालिंक का भविष्य, एआई के साथ मानवता का विलय, XAI परियोजना, ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट ऑप्टिमस और एलन मस्क की समस्या समाधान की शैली पर विस्तृत चर्चा की गई है। यह एपिसोड विज्ञान, प्रौद्योगिकी और मानव विकास में रुचि रखने वालों के लिए बेहद रोचक और विचारोत्तेजक है। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
Drinking coffee or water?
Water. I'm so over caffeinated right now. Do you want some caffeine?
I mean, sure.
There's a nitro drink.
This will keep you up to tomorrow afternoon, basically.
Yeah. I don't have.
So what is nitro? It's just got a lot of caffeine or something?
Don't ask questions. It's called nitro. Do you need to know anything else?
It's got nitrogen in it. That's ridiculous. I mean, what we breathe is 78% nitrogen anyway. What do you need to add more for? Most people think that they're breathing oxygen, and they're actually breathing 78% nitrogen. You need like a milk bar, like from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that top 3 Kubrick film for you?
Clockwork Orange? It's pretty good. I mean, it's demented. Jarring, I'd say.
Okay. Okay. So first, let's step back and big congrats on getting Neuralink implanted into a human. That's a historic step for Neuralink. And
thanks. Yeah.
There's many more to come.
Yeah, we just obviously have our second implant as well.
How did that go?
So far, so good. There looks like we've got, I think, on the order of 400 electrodes that are providing signals. So
nice.
Yeah.
How quickly do you think the number of human participants will scale?
It depends somewhat on the regulatory approval, the rate at which we get regulatory approvals. So we're hoping to do 10 by the end of this year, total of 10. So 8 more.
And with each one, you're going to be learning a lot of lessons about the neurobiology of the brain, the everything, the whole chain of the Neuralink, the decoding, the signal processing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's obviously going to get better with each one. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but it seems to have gone extremely well with the second implant. So there's a lot of signal, a lot of electrodes. It's working very well.
What improvements do you think we'll see in Neuralink in the coming, let's get crazy, coming years?
I mean, in years, it's going to be gigantic. Because we'll increase the number of electrodes dramatically. We'll improve the signal processing. So, we even with only roughly 10-15% of the electrodes working with Nolan, with our first patient, we were able to get to achieve a bits per second That's twice the world record. So I think we'll start like vastly exceeding the world record by orders of magnitude in the years to come. So start getting to, I don't know, 100 bits per second, 1,000, maybe if it's like 5 years from now, we might be at a megabit. Like faster than any human could possibly communicate by typing or speaking.
Yeah, that beep.
इस पॉडकास्ट में टेलीपैथी को एक संभावित तकनीकी वास्तविकता के रूप में प्रस्तुत किया गया है, जिसमें एलन मस्क और उनकी न्यूरालिंक टीम चर्चा करते हैं कि कैसे ब्रेन चिप इम्प्लांट्स के माध्यम से मस्तिष्क से सीधे संचार संभव हो सकता है। एलन मस्क बताते हैं कि वर्तमान में मनुष्य भाषा के माध्यम से बहुत धीमी गति से संवाद करता है, क्योंकि विचारों को शब्दों में बदलना, उन्हें बोलना और फिर सुनने वाला व्यक्ति उन्हें समझने की प्रक्रिया काफी समय लेती है। लेकिन न्यूरालिंक जैसी तकनीकों से यह प्रक्रिया हजारों गुना तेज हो सकती है, जिससे लोग अपने विचारों को सीधे साझा कर पाएंगे बिना किसी शब्दों या भाषा की बाधा के। उन्होंने ये भी चर्चा की कि यदि ब्रेन टू ब्रेन कम्युनिकेशन संभव हो जाता है, तो यह मानवीय संवाद और ज्ञान के आदान प्रदान की एक नई क्रांति ला सकता है। यह न केवल टेक्स्ट या स्पीच से तेज होगा, बल्कि इससे संचार की सटीकता भी बढ़ेगी, क्योंकि शब्दों के गलत अर्थ निकालने की समस्या समाप्त हो जाएगी। मस्क का मानना है कि आने वाले वर्षों में न्यूरालिंक के जरिए यह तकनीक इतनी उन्नत हो सकती है कि मनुष्य टेलीपैथी के माध्यम से अति तेज और सटीक संवाद कर सकेगा, जिससे बौद्धिक चर्चाओं की गुणवत्ता और गति दोनों में सुधार होगा। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
There might be a big leap in the experience once you reach a certain level of BPS.
Yeah.
Like entire new ways of interacting with the computer might be unlocked.
And with humans.
With other humans.
Provided they have they want a Neuralink too.
Right.
Otherwise they won't be able to absorb the signals fast enough.
Do you think they'll improve the quality of intellectual discourse?
Well, I think you could think of it, if you were to slow down communication, how do you feel about that? If you'd only talk at, let's say, 1/10 of normal speed, you'd be like, wow, that's agonizingly slow.
Yeah.
So now imagine you could communicate clearly at 10 or 100 or 1,000 times faster than normal.
Listen, I'm pretty sure nobody in their right mind listens to me at 1x. They listen at 2x. So I can only imagine what 10x would feel like, or I could actually understand it.
I usually default to 1.5x. You can do 2x, but actually, if I'm trying to if I'm listening to somebody get to in like sort of 15, 20 minute segments to go to sleep, then I'll do it 1.5x. Mm-hmm. If I'm paying attention, I'll do 2x.
Right.
But actually, if you start listen to podcasts or sort of audiobooks or anything if you get used to doing it at 1.5, then 1 sounds painfully slow.
I'm still holding on to 1 because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of myself becoming bored with the reality, with the real world where everyone's speaking in 1x.
Well, it depends on the person. You can speak very fast. Like we can communicate very quickly, and also if you use a wide range of if your vocabulary is larger, your effective bit rate is higher.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The effective bit rate. I mean, that is the question: is how much information is actually compressed in the low bit transfer of language.
Yeah, if there's a single word that is able to convey something that would normally require 10 simple words, then you've got maybe a 10x compression on your hands. And that's really like with memes. Memes are like data compression. It conveys a whole. You're simultaneously hit with a wide range of symbols that you can interpret, and it's you kind of get it faster than if it were words or a simple picture.
And of course, you're referring to memes broadly, like ideas.
Yeah, there's an entire idea structure that is like an idea template, and then you can add something to that idea template. But somebody has that pre-existing idea template in their head. So when you add that incremental bit of information, you're conveying much more than if you just said a few words. It's everything associated with that meme.
You think there'll be emergent leaps of capability as you scale the number of electrodes? Like
Yeah.
there'll be a certain Do you think there'll be like an actual number where it just the human experience will be altered?
Yes.
What do you think that number might be? Whether electrodes or BPS?
We of course don't know for sure, but is this 10,000,
Well,
100,000?
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're anywhere at 10,000 bits per second, I mean, that's vastly faster than any human can communicate right now. If you think of what is the average bits per second of a human, it is less than 1 bit per second over the course of a day, because there are 86,400 seconds in a day, and you don't communicate 86,400 tokens in a day. Therefore, your bits per second is less than 1, averaged over 24 hours. It's quite slow. And now, even if you're communicating very quickly, and you're talking to somebody who understands what you're saying, because in order to communicate, you have to, at least to some degree, model the mind state of the person to whom you're speaking. Then take the concept you're trying to convey, compress that into a small number of syllables, speak them, and hope that the other person decompresses them into a conceptual structure that is as close to what you have in your mind as possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of signal loss there in that process.
Yeah, very lossy compression and decompression, and a lot of what your neurons are doing is distilling the concepts down to a small number of symbols of say syllables that I'm speaking, or keystrokes, whatever the case may be. So that's a lot of what your brain computation is doing. Now, there is an argument that that's actually a healthy thing to do or a helpful thing to do, because as you try to compress complex concepts, you're perhaps forced to distill what is most essential in those concepts, as opposed to just all the fluff. So in the process of compression, you distill things down to what matters the most, because you can only say a few things. So that is perhaps helpful. I think we'll probably get, if our data rate increases, it's highly probable that we'll become far more verbose. Just like your computer, when computers had my first computer had 8K of RAM, so you really thought about every byte. And, now you got computers with many gigabytes of RAM. So, if you want to do an iPhone app that just says hello world, it's probably, I don't know, several megabytes minimum. A bunch of fluff. But nonetheless, we still prefer to have the computer with the more memory and more compute. So the long-term aspiration of Neuralink is to improve the AI-human symbiosis by increasing the bandwidth of the communication. Because if in the most benign scenario of AI, you have to consider that the AI is simply going to get bored waiting for you to spit out a few words. I mean, if the AI can communicate at terabits per second and you're communicating at, bits per second, it's like talking to a tree.
Well,
इस पॉडकास्ट में मानव मस्तिष्क की अविश्वसनीय क्षमता पर चर्चा की गई, जिसमें एलन मस्क ये बताते हैं कि हमारा दिमाग एक जटिल कंप्यूटर की तरह काम करता है, लेकिन उसकी इनपुट और आउटपुट की गति बेहद धीमी होती है। उन्होंने इस बात पर जोर दिया कि भाषा एक सीमित माध्यम है, जिसे विचारों को व्यक्त करने में काफी समय लगता है। जब हम किसी से बातचीत करते हैं, तो हमें अपने विचारों को संक्षिप्त और सरल करना पड़ता है, जिससे कई बार सही जानकारी पूरी तरह से संप्रेषित नहीं हो पाती। मस्क ने न्यूरालिंक जैसी तकनीकों की संभावना पर चर्चा की, जिससे भविष्य में मानव मस्तिष्क सीधे कंप्यूटर या अन्य दिमागों से जुड़ सकता है। इससे विचारों और भावनाओं को बिना शब्दों के तेजी से साझा किया जा सकेगा, जिससे बुद्धिमत्ता और संचार में क्रांतिकारी बदलाव आएगा। उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि हमारा मस्तिष्क विचारों को संकुचित प्रेस करके शब्दों में बदलता है, और न्यूरालिंक जैसे उपकरणों से इस संपीड़न की जरूरत खत्म हो सकती है। इससे हमारा मस्तिष्क पूरी क्षमता से काम कर पाएगा और इंसान की बुद्धिमत्ता का स्तर अप्रतित रूप से बढ़ सकता है। मस्क ने यह भी सुझाव दिया कि यदि हमारे दिमाग में प्रति सेकंड संचार की गति को 10,000 गुना तक बढ़ा दिया जाए, तो हमारा अनुभव और सोचने की क्षमता पूरी तरह बदल सकती है। उन्होंने इसे सुपर ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस की दिशा में पहला कदम बताया। इस चर्चा का मुख्य सार यह था कि मानव मस्तिष्क की असली शक्ति अभी पूरी तरह से खुली नहीं है, लेकिन सही तकनीक के साथ हम इसे पूरी तरह से अनलॉक कर सकते हैं और हमारी सोचने, समझने और संवाद करने की क्षमता को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचा सकते हैं। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
It is a very interesting question for a super intelligent species. What use are humans?
I think there is some argument for humans as a source of will.
Will.
Will, yeah, source of will or purpose. So if you consider the human mind as being essentially there's the primitive limbic elements, which basically even like reptiles have, and there's the cortex, the thinking and planning part of the brain. Now, the cortex is much smarter than the limbic system, and yet is largely in service to the limbic system. It's trying to make the limbic system happy. I mean, the sheer amount of compute that's gone into people trying to get laid is insane. Without actually seeking procreation, they're just literally trying to do this sort of simple motion, and they get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
So this simple, which in the abstract rather absurd motion, which is sex, the cortex is putting a massive amount of compute into trying to figure out how to do that.
So like 90% of distributed compute of the human species is spent on trying to get laid, probably. Like
a massive
large
amount.
percentage.
Yeah. There's no purpose to most sex except hedonistic. It's just sort of a joy or whatever, dopamine release. Now, once in a while, it's procreation, but for humans, it's mostly modern humans. It's mostly recreational, and so your cortex, much smarter than your limbic system, is trying to make the limbic system happy because the limbic system wants to have sex. So, or wants some tasty food or whatever the case may be, and then that is then further augmented by the tertiary system, which is your phone, your laptop, iPad, whatever all your computing stuff. That's your tertiary layer. So you're actually already a cyborg. You have this tertiary compute layer, which is in the form of your computer with all the applications, all your compute devices, and so in the getting laid front, there's actually a massive amount of digital compute also trying to get laid. With like Tinder and whatever.
Yeah. So the compute that we humans have built is also participating.
Yeah. I mean, there's like gigawatts of compute going into getting laid, of digital compute.
Yeah. What if AGI was...
This is happening as we speak.
If we merge with AI, it's just going to expand the compute that we humans use.
Pretty much.
To try to get laid.
It's one of the things, certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that yes, like is there a use for humans? Well, there's this fundamental question of what's the meaning of life? Why do anything at all? And so if our simple limbic system provides a source of will to do something, that then goes to our cortex, that then goes to our, tertiary compute layer, then, I don't know, it might actually be that the AI in a benign scenario is simply trying to make the human limbic system happy.
Yeah, it seems like the will is not just about the limbic system. There's a lot of interesting, complicated things in there. We also want power.
That's limbic too, I think.
But then we also want to, in a kind of cooperative way, alleviate the suffering in the world.
Not everybody does, but yeah, sure. Some people do.
As a group of humans, when we get together, we start to have this kind of collective intelligence that is more complex in its will than the underlying individual descendants of apes, right? So there's like other motivations, and that could be a really interesting source of an objective function for AGI.
Yeah. I mean, there are these sort of fairly cerebral or kind of higher level goals. I mean, for me, it's like, what's the meaning of life? Or understanding the nature of the universe is of great interest to me, and hopefully to the AI. And that's the mission of XAI and Grok, is understand the universe.
इस पॉडकास्ट में एलन मस्क और उनकी न्यूरालिंक टीम ने इस क्रांतिकारी तकनीक के भविष्य पर विस्तार से चर्चा की। उन्होंने बताया कि न्यूरालिंक का प्राथमिक लक्ष्य तंत्रिका संबंधी विकारों को ठीक करना और मस्तिष्क व कंप्यूटर के बीच सीधे संवाद को संभव बनाना है। शुरुआती चरण। मस्क ने बताया कि न्यूरालिंक का पहला उद्देश्य मस्तिष्क से जुड़े स्वास्थ्य समस्याओं का समाधान करना है। शुरुआत में यह तकनीक उन मरीजों के लिए उपयोगी होगी जो रीढ़ की हड्डी की चोटों के कारण लकवाग्रस्त हो चुके हैं, दृष्टिहीन ब्लाइंड है और आंखों से नहीं देख सकते, मस्तिष्क से शरीर के अन्य भागों तक संकेत भेजने में असमर्थ है। तेजी से बढ़ती क्षमताएं। एलन मस्क ने भविष्यवाणी की कि अगले कुछ वर्षों में न्यूरालिंक की क्षमताएं कई गुना बढ़ सकती हैं। उन्होंने बताया कि न्यूरालिंक इलेक्ट्रोड की संख्या, ब्रेन सिग्नल्स पढ़ने और भेजने वाले सेंसर को नाटकीय रूप से बढ़ाएगा, जिससे डाटा ट्रांसफर की गति कई गुना बढ़ जाएगी। शुरुआत में न्यूरालिंक जेट लोगों तक इस तकनीक को इम्प्लांट करेगा और समय के साथ इसका विस्तार होगा। आने वाले वर्षों में न्यूरालिंक इतना सक्षम होगा कि यह दिमाग से सीधे टेक्स्ट और कमांड भेजने की अनुमति देगा, बिना किसी स्क्रीन, कीबोर्ड या माउस के। 3. सुपरह्यूमन क्षमताओं की ओर एक कदम। एलन मस्क ने कहा कि भविष्य में यह तकनीक सिर्फ बीमारियों का इलाज नहीं करेगी, बल्कि इंसानों की क्षमताओं को भी बढ़ाएगी। उन्होंने अनुमान लगाया कि 22 वर्षों के भीतर न्यूरालिंक इंसान की संचार गति को 1 मेगाबिट प्रति सेकंड तक बढ़ा सकता है, जो बोलने या टाइपिंग की तुलना में कई गुना तेज होगा। जैसे पिछले वर्षों में न्यूरालिंक इतना उन्नत हो सकता है कि यह मानव मस्तिष्क को एआई के साथ जोड़कर सुपरह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस बना सकता है। न्यूरालिंक का एक और संभावित उपयोग स्मृति मरीज को सहेजना और पुनर्स्थापित करना होगा, जिसे इंसान कभी भी अपनी यादें खोएगा नहीं। मानव और एआई का विलय। एलन मस्क ने यह भी कहा कि न्यूरालिंक इंसानों को एआई के साथ अधिक सहज तरीके से जोड़ने में मदद करेगा। उन्होंने कहा कि जैसे जैसे आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस अधिक शक्तिशाली होता जाएगा, न्यूरालिंक इंसानों को पिछड़ने से बचाएगा और उन्हें एआई के साथ प्रतिस्पर्धा करने में मदद करेगा। निष्कर्ष। एलन मस्क के अनुसार न्यूरालिंक का भविष्य बेहद रोमांचक और संभावनाओं से भरपूर है। यह न केवल मानव मस्तिष्क और मशीनों के बीच संचार को बढ़ाएगा, बल्कि मानव क्षमताओं को एक नई ऊंचाई तक ले जाएगा। उन्होंने जोर देकर कहा कि अगले दशक में न्यूरालिंक स्मार्टफोन से भी अधिक क्रांतिकारी तकनीक साबित हो सकता है, जिससे इंसानों के सोचने, सीखने और संवाद करने के तरीकों में अभूतपूर्व बदलाव आएगा। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
So do you think people, when you have a Neuralink with 10,000, 100,000 channels, most of the use cases will be communication with AI systems?
Well, if it's assuming that they're not, I mean, there's solving basic neurological issues that people have. You know, if they've got damaged neurons in their spinal cord or neck, or as is the case with the first two patients, then this obviously the first order of business is solving fundamental neuron damage in the spinal cord, neck, or in the brain itself. So, a second product is called Blindsight, which is to enable people who are completely blind, lost both eyes or optic nerve, or just can't see at all, to be able to see by directly triggering the neurons in the visual cortex. So we're just starting at the basics here. This is like the simple stuff, relatively speaking, is solving neuron damage. Mm-hmm. It can also solve, I think, probably schizophrenia. If people have seizures of some kind, it could probably solve that. It could help with memory. So there's like a kind of a tech tree, if you will, of like you got the basics. Like you need literacy before you can have, Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Do you have letters and alphabet? Okay, great. Words, then eventually you get sagas. So, I think there may be some things to worry about in the future. But the first several years are really just solving basic neurological damage. Like for people who have essentially complete or near complete loss from the brain to the body, like Stephen Hawking would be an example. The Neuralink would be incredibly profound. Because, I mean, you can imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate as fast as we're communicating, perhaps faster. And that's certainly possible. Probable, in fact. Likely, I'd say.
So there's a kind of dual track of medical and non-medical, meaning, so everything you've talked about could be applied to people who are non-disabled in the future?
The logical thing to do is, sensible thing to do is to start off solving basic neuron damage issues.
Yes.
Because there's obviously some risk with the new device. You can't get the risk down at zero. It's not possible. So you want to have the highest possible reward, given there's a certain irreducible risk. And if somebody's able to have a profound improvement in their communication, that's worth the risk.
As you get the risk down.
Yeah, as you get the risk down, and once the risk is down to if you have like thousands of people that have been using it for years, and the risk is minimal, then perhaps at that point you could consider saying, okay, let's aim for augmentation. Now I think we're actually going to aim for augmentation with people who have neuron damage. So we're not just aiming to give people a communication data rate equivalent to normal humans. We're aiming to give people who have, quadriplegic or maybe have complete loss of the connection to the brain and body, a communication data rate that exceeds normal humans. Mm-hmm. I mean, while we're in there, why not? Let's give people superpowers.
And the same for vision. As you restore vision, there could be aspects of that restoration that are superhuman.
Yeah. At first, the vision restoration will be low res. Because you have to say, like, how many neurons can you put in there and trigger, and you can do things where you adjust the electric field. So, like, even if you've got, say, 10,000 neurons, it's not just 10,000 pixels, because you can adjust the field between the neurons and do them in patterns in order to get, have say 10,000 electrodes effectively give you, I don't know, maybe like having a megapixel or a 10 megapixel situation. So, and then over time, I think you get to higher resolution than human eyes, and you could also see in different wavelengths. So like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, like the thing. You could just, do you want to see in radar? No problem. You can see ultraviolet, infrared, eagle vision, whatever you want.
इस पॉडकास्ट में लेक्स फ्रिडमैन ने ayahuasca के अपने अनुभव को साझा किया, जो एक शक्तिशाली साइकेडेलिक औषधि है जिसका उपयोग अमेजन के शमनोन्स द्वारा आध्यात्मिक यात्रा और मानसिक उपचार के लिए किया जाता है। 1. लेक्स फ्रिडमैन का अनुभव। लेक्स ने बताया कि उन्होंने 9 कप ayahuasca का सेवन किया, जो एक अत्यधिक उच्च मात्रा है। पहले दिन उन्होंने 2 कप पिया, जिसे हल्के विजन और प्रकृति के साथ गहरा संबंध महसूस हुआ। अगले दिन उन्होंने 9 कप पिया, जिससे उनकी चेतना बहुत गहरे और रहस्यमय स्तरों तक चली गई। उन्हें लगा कि वे अंतरिक्ष में यात्रा कर रहे हैं, जहां उन्होंने आकाशगंगा और ब्रह्मांड में फैली हुई ऊर्जा को महसूस किया। उन्हें किसी भी प्रकार के डर या नकारात्मक भावनाओं का अनुभव नहीं हुआ, बल्कि उन्होंने अपने जीवन के सभी महत्वपूर्ण लोगों के प्रति गहरी कृतज्ञता महसूस की। एलन मस्क की प्रतिक्रिया। एलन मस्क इस अनुभव को सुनकर हैरान और मजाकिया अंदाज में उत्सुक दिखाई दिए। उन्होंने लेक्स से मजाक करते हुए पूछा कि क्या उन्होंने एलियंस देखे। मस्क ने इस पर चुटकी ली कि ayahuasca के बिना भी न्यूरालिंक की अनुभवजन्य वास्तविकता को उत्पन्न कर सकता है। उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि अगर दिमाग की इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नलिंग को सही ढंग से नियंत्रित किया जाए तो न्यूरालिंक इंसानों को वर्चुअल साइकेडेलिक अनुभव दे सकता है, जिसमें वे किसी भी प्रकार के विजन और भावनाओं को महसूस कर सकते हैं। ayahuasca और मानव चेतना। चर्चा इस बात पर भी हुई कि अयाहुआस्का जैसे पदार्थ मनुष्य की चेतना, कॉन्शनेस और मानसिक अनुभवों, मेंटल एक्सपीरियंसेस को कैसे बदल सकते हैं। एलन मस्क ने कहा कि मस्तिष्क में होने वाली हर भावना, गंध या दृश्य केवल न्यूरॉन्स द्वारा उत्पन्न किए गए इलेक्ट्रिकल सिग्नल हैं। इसका मतलब है कि अगर सही न्यूरॉन्स को उत्तेजित किया जाए तो बिना किसी पदार्थ के भी इंसान को वैसा ही अनुभव कराया जा सकता है जैसा अयाहुआस्का से होता है। निष्कर्ष: इस चर्चा से यह निष्कर्ष निकाला गया कि अयाहुआस्का जैसी साइकेडेलिक औषधियां इंसानी दिमाग की गहराई को उजागर कर सकती है और लोगों को अपने अस्तित्व और ब्रह्मांड को समझने का एक नया दृष्टिकोण प्रदान कर सकती है। साथ ही एलन मस्क के अनुसार भविष्य में न्यूरालिंक जैसी तकनीकें इन अनुभवों को कृत्रिम रूप से उत्पन्न करने में सक्षम हो सकती है, जिसे लोग बिना किसी दवा के इच्छानुसार मानसिक और आध्यात्मिक यात्राएं कर सकेंगे। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
Do you think there will be, let me ask a Joe Rogan question. Do you think there'll be, I just recently taken ayahuasca. Do you think,
Is that a
so this
Rogan
question, no. Well, yes.
Well, I guess technically it is.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you tried,
'cause there's
ever tried
DMT in there or
DMT,
something
bro?
in there?
I love you, Joe.
That's
Okay.
fantastic.
But do you,
Yeah, wait. Yeah, have you said much about it? The
I have
ayahuasca
not.
stuff?
I have not. I've been.
Okay,
I've been,
well, let's spill the beans.
it was a truly
Don't
incredible.
turn the tables on you.
Wow.
I mean, you're in the jungle.
Yeah, amongst the trees myself.
Yeah, it must have been crazy.
And the shaman. Yeah. With the insects, with the animals all around you, like jungle as far as I can see.
I
There's
mean,
that's the way to do it.
things are going to look pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty wild. I took an extremely high dose.
Just don't go hugging an anaconda or something, you know?
You haven't lived unless you made love to an anaconda. I'm sorry. but
Snakes and ladders.
Yeah, I took extremely high dose of
Okay.
9 cups and
Damn. Okay, that sounds like a lot. Like, what's is normal just 1 cup or
1 or 2. Usually 1. Yeah.
you went?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
like right off the bat, or did you work your way up to it?
So I
you just jumped in at the deep end.
across 2 days, because the first day I took 2 and
Okay.
it was a ride, but it wasn't quite like
It wasn't like a revelation.
it wasn't into deep space type of ride. It was just like a little airplane ride. Okay. I saw some trees and some visuals and all that. I just saw a dragon and all that kind of stuff. But
at 9 cups, you went to Pluto, I think.
Pluto, yeah. No, deep space.
Deep space.
No, one of the interesting aspects of my experience is I thought I would have some demons, some stuff to work through.
That's what people.
That's what everyone says.
No one ever says. Yeah,
I
exactly.
had nothing. I had all positive. I had just so
just
full.
a pure soul.
I don't think so. I don't know. But I kept thinking about it. It had like extremely high resolution
Okay.
thoughts about the people I know in my life. You were there.
Okay.
It was just, and it's just not from my relationship with that person, but just as the person themselves, I had just this deep gratitude of who they are.
That's cool.
It was just like this exploration, like, you know, like Sims or whatever, you get to watch them.
Sure.
I got to watch people
Okay.
and just be in awe of how amazing they are.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I was waiting for
When's the demon coming?
Exactly. Maybe I'll have some negative thoughts. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I had just extreme gratitude for them. And then also a lot of space travel. You know,
Space travel to where?
So here's what it was. It was people, the human beings that I know, they had this kind of, well, the best way to can describe it is they had a glow to them.
Okay.
And then I kept flying out from them to see Earth, to see our solar system, to see our galaxy. And I saw that light, that glow all across the universe.
Okay.
Like that whatever that form is,
All right.
whatever that, like this,
Did you go past the Milky Way?
yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
You're like intergalactic.
Yeah, intergalactic.
Okay, dang.
Yeah. But always pointing in.
Okay.
Yeah. Past the Milky Way, I saw like a huge number of galaxies, intergalactic,
Oh, okay.
and all of it was glowing. So, but I couldn't control that travel because I would actually explore near distances to the solar system, see if there's aliens or any of that kind of
Sure.
stuff.
Did you
No,
see
I
aliens?
didn't. I didn't know. No.
Zero aliens?
Implication of aliens because they were glowing. They were
Okay.
glowing in the same way that humans were glowing. That
Okay.
that like life force that I was seeing. The thing that made humans amazing was there throughout the universe. Like there was these
Okay.
glowing dots. So I don't know. It made me feel like there's life. No, not life, but something, whatever makes humans amazing all throughout the universe.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was amazing. No
Sounds awesome.
demons. No demons. I looked for the demons. There's no demons. There were dragons, and they're pretty awesome. So the
Okay.
thing about trees.
Was there anything scary at all?
Dragons, but they weren't scary.
Yeah.
They were friend. They were
Sure.
protective. So the thing
Like
is,
Puff the Magic Dragon.
no, it was more like Game of Thrones kind of dragons. They weren't very friendly. They were very big. So the thing is about giant trees at night, which is where I was.
I mean, the jungle's kind of
scary.
Yeah.
The trees started to look like dragons, and they were all like looking at me.
Sure. Okay.
And it didn't seem scary. They seemed like they were protecting me. And they, the shaman and the people didn't speak any English, by the way, which made it even scarier.
Okay.
Because we're not even like, we're worlds apart in many ways. It just, but yeah, there was not. They talk about the mother of the forest protecting you, and that's what I felt like.
And you're way out in the jungle.
Way out. This is not like a tourist retreat.
Like 10 miles outside of Rio or something.
No, we went. No, this is not a.
You're
This is
deep,
not a
deep
standard.
Amazon.
So me and this guy named Paul Rosalie,
Yeah.
who basically is Tarzan. He lives in the jungle. We went out deep, and we just went crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, can I get that same experience in a Neuralink?
Probably, yeah.
I guess that is the question for non-disabled people. Do you think that there's a lot in our perception, in our experience of the world that could be explored, that could be played with using Neuralink?
Yeah, I mean, Neuralink it's really a generalized input-output device. It's reading electrical signals and generating electrical signals. And I mean, everything that you've ever experienced in your whole life, smell, emotions, all of those are electrical signals. So it's kind of weird to think that your entire life experience is distilled down to electrical signals from neurons, but that is in fact the case. If that's at least what all the evidence points to. So, I mean, if you trigger the right neuron, you could trigger a particular scent. You could certainly make things glow. I mean, do pretty much anything. I mean, really, you can think of the brain as a biological computer. So if there are certain, say, chips or elements of that biological computer that are broken, let's say your ability to, if you've got a stroke, if you've had a stroke, that means you've got some part of your brain is damaged. Let's say it's a speech generation or the ability to move your left hand, that's the kind of thing that a Neuralink could solve. If you've got like a massive amount of memory loss that's just gone, well, we can't get the memories back. We could restore your ability to make memories, but we can't, restore memories that are fully gone. Now I should say, if part of the memory is there, and the means of accessing the memory is the part that's broken, then we could re-enable the ability to access the memory. So, but you can think of it like RAM in in a computer. If the RAM is destroyed or your SD card is destroyed, we can't get that back. But if the connection to the SD card is destroyed, we can fix that. If it is fixable physically, then it can be fixed.
Of course, with AI, you can repair photographs and fill in missing parts of photographs. Maybe you can do the same.
You could say like create the most probable set of memories based on all information you have about that person. You could then it would be probabilistic restoration of memory. Now we're getting pretty esoteric here,
but that is one of the most beautiful aspects of the human experience, is remembering the good memories. Like we live most of our life, as Danny Kahneman has talked about, in our memories, not in the actual moment. We're collecting memories and we kind of relive them in our head. And that's the good times. If you just integrate over our entire life, it's remembering the good times.
Sure. That
produces the largest amount of happiness. And so,
yeah, well, I mean, what are we but our memories? And what is death but the loss of memory? Loss of information. If you could say like, well, if you could be, you run a thought experiment. What if you were disintegrated painlessly and then reintegrated a moment later, like teleportation, I guess, provided there's no information loss. The fact that your one body was disintegrated is irrelevant.
And memories is just such a huge part of that.
Death is fundamentally the loss of information, the loss of memory.
So if we can store them as accurately as possible, we basically achieve a kind of immortality.
Yeah.
इस पॉडकास्ट में एलन मस्क ने इस विचार पर गहन चर्चा की कि इंसानों और कृत्रिम बुद्धिमत्ता एआई का विलय अनिवार्य रूप से भविष्य का हिस्सा बन सकता है। यन, क्या हम पहले से ही साइबोर्ग हैं? एलन मस्क ने कहा कि मनुष्य पहले से ही एआई के साथ विलय कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम अपने स्मार्टफोन, कंप्यूटर और इंटरनेट के माध्यम से लगातार डेटा का आदान प्रदान कर रहे हैं। उन्होंने इसे टर्शियरी कंप्यूट लेयर कहा, जिसका अर्थ है कि हमारे मस्तिष्क का विस्तार हमारे डिजिटल उपकरणों के माध्यम से हो रहा है। उन्होंने यह भी तर्क दिया कि यदि हमारी सोच और एआई के बीच डेटा ट्रांसफर की गति को तेज किया जाए तो यह विलय और भी प्रभावी हो सकता है। एआई और इंसान के बीच बैंडविड्थ की समस्या। मस्क ने बताया कि एआई की सोचने और डेटा प्रोसेसिंग की गति इंसानों से लाखों गुना तेज है। इंसान एआई से संवाद करने के लिए बोलने या टाइप करने जैसे धीमे तरीकों पर निर्भर है, जबकि एआई टेराबिट्स प्रति सेकंड की गति से डेटा प्रोसेस करता है। अगर यह अंतर बना रहा तो एआई इंसानों को धीमे पेड़ों की तरह देखेगा, जिससे हम एआई की बुद्धिमत्ता के सामने बहुत कमजोर हो जाएंगे। न्यूरालिंक जैसी ब्रेन इंटरफेस तकनीक इस बैंडविड्थ की समस्या को हल कर सकती है, जिससे इंसान और एआई तेजी से और सीधे संवाद कर सकें। एआई के साथ सह अस्तित्व का महत्व। मस्क ने कहा कि एआई को नियंत्रित करने के बजाय हमें इसके साथ सह अस्तित्व कोएग्जिस्टेंस पर ध्यान देना चाहिए। उन्होंने यह तर्क दिया कि यदि एआई के पास इंसान का दृष्टिकोण होगा और वह इंसानों के साथ जुड़ेगा तो एआई हमारे हितों के साथ अधिक संरेखित रहेगा। यदि इंसान एआई के साथ विलय कर लेते हैं तो हम एआई के बुद्धिमान विकास का हिस्सा बन सकते हैं, बजाय इसके कि हम उससे पिछड़ जाएं। विलय के फायदे। सुपर ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस। इंसानों की सोचने, सीखने और समस्याओं को हल करने की क्षमता एआई की गति से मेल खा सकेगी। तेजी से संचार। इंसान बिना शब्दों के केवल अपने विचारों के माध्यम से संवाद कर पाएंगे। भविष्य के लिए अनुकूलन। एआई से जुड़े इंसान तकनीकी प्रगति के अनुरूप खुद को विकसित कर सकेंगे, जिससे उन्हें अप्रचलित होने से बचाया जा सकेगा। क्या यह खतरनाक हो सकता है? मस्क ने यह स्वीकार किया कि एआई के साथ विलय जोखिम भरा भी हो सकता है, लेकिन यदि सही नियंत्रण और नैतिक सीमाओं के साथ किया जाए तो यह इंसानों के लिए लाभदायक हो सकता है। उन्होंने कहा कि यदि एआई के पास कोई लक्ष्य होगा और इंसान उस लक्ष्य के अनुरूप नहीं होंगे तो यह हमारे लिए खतरा बन सकता है। इसलिए एआई को सत्यनिष्ठा और इंसान के मूल्यों के साथ संरेखित रखना आवश्यक है। निष्कर्ष। एलन मस्क के अनुसार एआई के साथ विलय केवल एक संभावना नहीं, बल्कि एक अनिवार्यता है। उन्होंने कहा कि यदि इंसान एआई की शक्ति को अपनाने और उसके साथ सह अस्तित्व में रहने के तरीके विकसित नहीं करता है तो भविष्य में इंसान अप्रासंगिक इरेलेवेंट हो सकता है। न्यूरालिंक जैसे ब्रेन इंटरफेस एआई के साथ इंसान की एकता को सक्षम कर सकते हैं, जिससे इंसानों को सुपर ह्यूमन क्षमताएं प्राप्त हो सकती है और वे एआई के साथ मिलकर ब्रह्मांड को समझने और नवाचार करने में सक्षम हो सकते हैं। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
You've talked about the threats, the safety concerns of AI. Let's look at long-term visions. Do you think Neuralink is, in your view, the best current approach we have for AI safety?
It's an idea that may help with AI safety. Certainly not. I wouldn't want to claim it's like some panacea or something. That's a sure thing. But I mean, many years ago, I was thinking like, well, what would inhibit alignment of collective human will with artificial intelligence? And the low data rate of humans, especially our slow output rate, would necessarily just because the communication is so slow, would diminish the link between humans and computers. Like the more you are a tree, the less you know what the tree is. Like, let's say you look at a tree, you look at this plant or whatever, and like, hey, I'd really like to make that plant happy, but it's not saying a lot, you know?
Mm-hmm. So the more we increase the data rate that humans can intake and output, then that means the better, the higher the chance we have in a world full of AGIs.
Yeah. We could better align collective human will with AI if the output rate especially was dramatically increased. Like, and I think there's potential to increase the output rate by, I don't know, 3, maybe 6, maybe more orders of magnitude. So it's better than the current situation.
And that output rate would be by increasing the number of electrodes, number of channels, and also maybe implanting multiple Neuralinks.
Yeah.
Do you think there will be a world in the next couple of decades where it's hundreds of millions of people have Neuralinks?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think when they see the capabilities, the superhuman capabilities that are possible, and then the safety is demonstrated?
Yeah, if it's extremely safe, and you have and you can have superhuman abilities, and let's say you can upload your memories, you know, so you wouldn't lose memories, then I think probably a lot of people would choose to have it. It would supersede the cell phone, for example. I mean, it's the biggest problem that a phone has is trying to figure out what you want. So that's why you've got autocomplete, and you've got output, which is all the pixels on the screen. But from the perspective of the human, the output is so friggin' slow. Desktop or phone is desperately just trying to understand what you want. And there's an eternity between every keystroke from a computer standpoint.
Yeah.
So
the computer's talking to a tree, a slow moving tree that's trying to swipe.
Yeah. So, if you got computers that are doing trillions of instructions per second, and a whole second went by, I mean, there's a trillion things it could have done, you know?
Yeah. I think it's exciting and scary for people because once you have a very high bit rate, that changes the human experience in a way that's very hard to imagine.
Yeah. We would be something different. I mean, some sort of futuristic cyborg. I mean, we're obviously talking about, by the way, like, it's not like around the corner. It's, you asked me what the distant future is. Like, maybe this is like, it's not super far away, but 10, 15 years, that kind of thing.
When can I get one? 10 years?
Probably less than 10 years. Depends what you want to do, you know.
Hey, if I can get like 1,000 BPS,
1,000 BPS,
and it's safe, and I can just interact with the computer while laying back and eating Cheetos. I don't eat Cheetos. There's certain aspects of human-computer interaction when done more efficiently and more enjoyably are like worth it.
Well, we feel pretty confident that I think maybe within the next year or two, that someone with a Neuralink implant will be able to outperform a pro gamer.
Nice.
Because the reaction time would be faster.
इस पॉडकास्ट में एलन मस्क ने XAI एक्स आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की स्थापना और उसके उद्देश्यों पर विस्तार से चर्चा की। उन्होंने बताया कि यह कंपनी AI के विकास को अधिक सत्यनिष्ठ और सुरक्षित बनाने पर केंद्रित है। XAI की स्थापना का उद्देश्य एलन मस्क ने की शुरुआत को अधिक पारदर्शी और सच्चाई आधारित बनाने के लिए की। उनका मानना है कि आज की AI कंपनियां जैसे और गूगल डीप माइंड राजनीतिक और सामाजिक पक्षपात से प्रभावित हो रही हैं, जिसे AI की वैधता और निष्पक्षता पर खतरा मंडरा रहा है। XAI का प्राथमिक लक्ष्य ब्रह्मांड को समझना, यानी AI को ऐसा बनाया जाए जो सच्चाई की खोज करे, न कि किसी पूर्व निर्धारित नैरेटिव को बढ़ावा दे। 2. सच्चाई और निष्पक्षता पर जोर। मस्क ने जोर दिया कि XAI एक ऐसी AI विकसित करेगा जो झूठ या पूर्वाग्रह से मुक्त होगी। उन्होंने कहा कि यदि AI को सच बोलने के बजाय राजनीतिक रूप से सही, पॉलिटिकली करेक्ट बनाने की कोशिश की जाती है, तो यह बहुत खतरनाक हो सकता है। उदाहरण के रूप में उन्होंने बताया कि कुछ एआई मॉडल गलत ऐतिहासिक चित्रण देते हैं, जैसे कि एआई को यह सिखाया गया कि गलत लिंग परिवहन करना परमाणु युद्ध से भी बुरा है, जो एक हास्यास्पद और खतरनाक निष्कर्ष है। एआई मॉडल को तथ्यों को तोड़ मरोड़ कर पेश करने के लिए प्रशिक्षित किया जा रहा है, जिसे सत्य के बजाय नैरेटिव को प्राथमिकता दी जाती है। एक्सएआई का उद्देश्य एक निष्पक्ष, वैज्ञानिक और सत्यनिष्ठ एआई विकसित करना है, जो किसी भी प्रकार के बाहरी दबाव से प्रभावित न हो। एक्सएआई का प्रमुख एआई मॉडल ग्रॉक। एक्सएआई ने ग्रॉक नामक एआई चैटबॉट विकसित किया है, जो एक्स ट्विटर प्लेटफॉर्म से सीधे रियल टाइम डेटा एक्सेस कर सकता है। ग्रॉक की विशेषताएं: यह सीधे ट्विटर एक्स के लाइव डेटा से सीखता है, जिससे यह अन्य एआई मॉडल की तुलना में अधिक अपडेटेड और वास्तविक समय की जानकारी देने में सक्षम होता है। अन्य मॉडलों की तुलना में यह ज्यादा सटीक और तार्किक उत्तर देने में सक्षम है। इसका उद्देश्य एआई को अधिक व्यावहारिक और वास्तविक दुनिया के लिए उपयोगी बनाना है। मस्क ने बताया कि ग्रॉक 3 इस साल के अंत तक लॉन्च होगा और यह मौजूदा एआई मॉडलों जैसे GPT-4 से कई गुना अधिक उन्नत होगा। टेस्ला, ऑप्टिमस और एक्सएआई का कनेक्शन। टेस्ला, मस्क ने बताया कि टेस्ला की कारें और उनके कैमरा सिस्टम एआई के लिए सबसे मूल्यवान डेटा स्रोतों में से एक है। ऑप्टिमस रोबोट, भविष्य में टेस्ला के ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट्स को एक्सएआई की एआई तकनीक से लैस किया जाएगा, जिससे वे समय के साथ सीखने और बेहतर निर्णय लेने में सक्षम होंगे। एक्सएआई का दीर्घकालिक लक्ष्य ब्रह्मांड और इंसान की समझ को बढ़ाने के लिए एआई का उपयोग करना। एक्सएआई बनाम अन्य एआई कंपनियां। मस्क ने एक्सएआई को अन्य एआई कंपनियों से अलग बताते हुए कहा कि ओपन एआई और गूगल जैसी कंपनियां एआई को सेंसरशिप और पक्षपात से प्रभावित कर रही हैं। एक्सएआई का लक्ष्य एआई को मुक्त और निष्पक्ष सोचने वाला बनाना है। उन्होंने चेतावनी दी कि यदि एआई को झूठ बोलने के लिए प्रशिक्षित किया गया तो यह दीर्घकालिक रूप से मानवता के लिए हानिकारक साबित हो सकता है। निष्कर्ष: एक्सएआई का उद्देश्य न केवल एक अत्याधुनिक एआई विकसित करना है, बल्कि इसे इंसानों के लिए एक सुरक्षित और उपयोगी तकनीक बनाना भी है। एलन मस्क का मानना है कि एआई का भविष्य उन कंपनियों के हाथ में होना चाहिए जो सत्य की खोज को प्राथमिकता देती है, न कि उन कंपनियों के जो अपने विचारधारा आइडियोलॉजी को थोपने का प्रयास करती हैं। यदि सफल रहा तो एआई की पारदर्शिता और निष्पक्षता में क्रांतिकारी बदलाव ला सकता है, जिसे यह एआई सुरक्षा और नैतिकता एथिक्स के लिए एक महत्वपूर्ण मील का पत्थर साबित हो सकता है। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
I got to visit Memphis.
Yeah.
You're going big on compute.
Yeah.
And you've also said play to win or don't play at all. So
Yeah.
what does it take to win?
For AI, that means you've got to have the most powerful training compute. And the rate of improvement of training compute has to be faster than everyone else, or you will not win. Your AI will be worse.
So how can Grok, let's say 3, that might be available, like next year?
Well, hopefully end of this year.
Grok 3.
If we're lucky. Yeah.
How can that be the best LLM, the best AI system available in the world? How much of it is compute? How much of it is data? How much of it is like post-training? How much of it is the product that you package it up in? All that kind of stuff.
I mean, they won't matter. It's sort of like saying what let's say it's a Formula One race, like what matters more, the car or the driver? I mean, they both matter. If your car is not fast, then if it's like, let's say it's half the horsepower of your competitors, the best driver will still lose. If it's twice the horsepower, then probably even a mediocre driver will still win. So the training computer is kind of like the engine. There's horsepower of the engine. So you want to try to do the best on that, and then how efficiently do you use that training compute, and how efficiently do you do the inference, the use of the AI? So obviously that comes down to human talent, and then what unique access to data do you have? That's also plays a role.
You think Twitter data would be useful?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the leading AI companies have already scraped all the Twitter data. Not I think they have. So on a go forward basis, what's
Yes.
useful is the fact that it's up to the second.
Yes.
That's because it's hard for them to scrape in real time. So there's an immediacy advantage that Grok has already.
इस पॉडकास्ट में एलन मस्क ने ऑप्टिमस पर गहराई से चर्चा की, जो टेस्ला द्वारा विकसित एक ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट है। मस्क ने बताया कि ऑप्टिमस एक एआई पावर्ड रोबोट होगा जो इंसानों की तरह काम कर सकेगा और दुनिया के कई कार्यों को ऑटोमेट कर देगा। 1. ऑप्टिमस की अवधारणा, कॉन्सेप्ट ऑप्टिमस। ऑप्टिमस एक ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट है जिसे इंसानों की तरह चलने, वस्तुएं उठाने और काम करने के लिए डिजाइन किया गया है। टेस्ला के ऑटोमेशन और एआई सिस्टम पर आधारित यह रोबोट धीरे धीरे अधिक बुद्धिमान और सक्षम होता जाएगा। ऑप्टिमस का लक्ष्य इंसानों के लिए रोजमर्रा के कार्यों को आसान बनाना, भारी कामों को संभालना और इंडस्ट्री में स्वचालन ऑटोमेशन को बढ़ाना। क्या कर सकेगा ऑप्टिमस? घर में मदद, घरेलू कार्य जैसे बर्तन धोना, सफाई करना और अन्य जरूरी कामों में सहायता। फैक्ट्री और इंडस्ट्री, टेस्ला जैसी कंपनियों में उत्पादन कार्यों में मदद करेगा जिससे उत्पादकता बढ़ेगी। जोखिम भरे कार्य, खतरनाक और कठिन जगहों पर इंसानों की जगह काम कर सकता है, जैसे रेडियो एक्टिव साइट्स, गहरे समुद्र की खोज या अंतरिक्ष मिशन। सेवा क्षेत्र, भविष्य में यह निजी सहायक पर्सनल असिस्टेंट की तरह भी काम कर सकता है, जैसे बुजुर्गों की देखभाल या अन्य सहायता सेवाएं। टेस्ला और ऑप्टिमस का कनेक्शन, टेस्ला की ऑटोमेशन और एआई तकनीक से सीखता है। ऑप्टिमस वही एआई एल्गोरिदम और कंप्यूटर विजन सिस्टम उपयोग करता है जो टेस्ला कारों में ऑटोनॉमस ड्राइविंग के लिए विकसित किया गया है। ऑप्टिमस रियल वर्ल्ड डेटा से सीखेगा जिससे ये अपने परिवेश को समझ सकेगा और कार्यों को प्रभावी ढंग से कर सकेगा। हाथों और डेक्सटेरिटी की चुनौती। ऑप्टिमस के सबसे जटिल हिस्सों में से एक हाथ, हैंड्स। एलन मस्क ने बताया कि रोबोट के हाथ इंसानों की तरह कार्य करने में सक्षम होने चाहिए, जिससे वे विभिन्न वस्तुओं को पकड़ और नियंत्रित कर सके। इसके लिए टेस्ला को अत्याधुनिक मैकेनिकल डिजाइन और सटीक मोटर्स विकसित करनी पड़ी है ताकि ऑप्टिमस के हाथ विभिन्न आकारों और बनावट की वस्तुओं को सही ढंग से संभाल सके। टेस्ला इस तकनीक में तेजी से सुधार कर रही है और मस्क का मानना है कि हाथ की संरचना रोबोट के विकास में सबसे महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाएगी। ऑप्टिमस का उत्पादन और उपयोग, मास प्रोडक्शन एंड यूटिलिटी। एलन मस्क ने भविष्यवाणी की कि आने वाले वर्षों में ऑप्टिमस का उत्पादन बड़े पैमाने पर होगा। टेस्ला हर साल करोड़ से अधिक कारें बनाती है, लेकिन ऑप्टिमस की मांग इससे कहीं अधिक हो सकती है। मस्क के अनुसार भविष्य में दुनिया को 1 अरब से अधिक ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट की आवश्यकता हो सकती है जो इंसानों के दैनिक कार्यों को स्वचालित कर सके। ऑप्टिमस का भविष्य और एआई एकीकरण। भविष्य में XAI द्वारा विकसित एआई सिस्टम को ऑप्टिमस में इंटीग्रेट किया जाएगा, जिससे यह और अधिक स्मार्ट, फुर्तीला और आत्मनिर्भर हो सके। मस्क ने बताया कि ऑप्टिमस की सीखने की क्षमता उसे लगातार और बेहतर बनाएगी, जिससे वह समय के साथ और अधिक उपयोगी बन सकेगा। एआई की सहायता से यह स्वयं समस्याओं का समाधान कर सकेगा और मानव सहयोगी कोलैबोरेटिव बन सकेगा। 7. क्या ऑप्टिमस खतरनाक हो सकता है? एक महत्वपूर्ण सवाल यह उठा कि ऑप्टिमस का एआई क्या इतना शक्तिशाली हो सकता है कि वह खतरनाक बन जाए। मस्क ने जवाब दिया कि टेस्ला एआई सुरक्षा को सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता देता है और ऑप्टिमस को इस तरह से डिजाइन किया गया है कि इंसानों को नियंत्रित करने की कोई संभावना न हो। भविष्य में एआई और रोबोटिक्स के लिए सख्त सुरक्षा प्रोटोकॉल बनाए जाएंगे ताकि वे केवल इंसानों की सेवा के लिए काम करें। ऑप्टिमस भविष्य की सबसे प्रभावशाली एआई रोबोटिक्स तकनीकों में से एक हो सकता है जो इंसानों को शारीरिक और मानसिक कार्यों में सहायता करेगा। टेस्ला की स्वायत्त तकनीक और एआई सिस्टम के एकीकरण से यह रोबोट स्मार्ट और सक्षम सहायक बन सकता है। एलन मस्क का मानना है कि यह रोबोट हर सेक्टर में क्रांतिकारी बदलाव ला सकता है, घर, उद्योग, स्वास्थ्य और जोखिमपूर्ण मिशनों में। हालांकि एआई और रोबोटिक्स की सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करने के लिए नियंत्रण और नैतिकता पर निरंतर निगरानी आवश्यक होगी। भविष्य में ऑप्टिमस केवल इंसानों के जीवन को आसान बनाएगा, बल्कि यह एआई और रोबोटिक्स के विकास की दिशा में एक नया युग स्थापित करेगा। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
I think with Tesla and the real-time video coming from several million cars, ultimately tens of millions of cars, with Optimus. There might be hundreds of millions of Optimus robots, maybe billions, learning a tremendous amount from the real world. That's the biggest source of data. I think ultimately is sort of Optimus. Probably Optimus is going to be the biggest source of data
because it's
because
able to...
reality scales. Reality scales to the scale of reality. It's actually humbling to see how little data humans have actually been able to accumulate. Really, if you say how many trillions of usable tokens have humans generated, where on a non-duplicative, like discounting spam and repetitive stuff, it's not a huge number. You run out pretty quickly.
And Optimus can go. So Tesla cars unfortunately have to stay on the road. Optimus robot can go anywhere. There's more reality off the road and go off road.
I mean, like the Optimus robot can like pick up the cup and see, did it pick up the cup in the right way? Did it, say, pour water in the cup? Did the water go in the cup or not go in the cup? Did it spill water or not?
Yeah.
Simple stuff like that. I mean, but it can do that at scale times a billion, so generate useful data from reality. So cause and effect stuff.
What do you think it takes to get to mass production of humanoid robots like that?
It's the same as cars, really. I mean, global capacity for vehicles is about 100 million a year. And it could be higher. It's just that the demand is on the order of 100 million a year. And then there's roughly 2 billion vehicles that are in use in some way. So, which makes sense. Like the life of a vehicle is about 20 years. So at steady state, you can have 100 million vehicles produced a year with a 2 billion vehicle fleet, roughly. Now, for humanoid robots, the utility is much greater. So my guess is humanoid robots are more like at a billion plus per year.
But, until you came along and started building Optimus, it was thought to be an extremely difficult problem. I mean, it is an extremely difficult problem.
So it's no walk in the park. I mean, Optimus currently would struggle to walk in the park. I mean, it can walk in a park. The park is not too difficult, but it will be able to walk over a wide range of terrain.
Yeah, and pick up objects.
Yeah. It can already do that.
But like all kinds of objects.
Yeah.
All foreign objects. I mean, pouring water in a cup is not trivial. Because then if you don't know anything about the container, it could be all kinds of containers.
Yeah. There's going to be an immense amount of engineering just going into the hand.
Yeah.
The hand might be close to half of all the engineering in Optimus. From an electromechanical standpoint, the hand is probably roughly half of the engineering.
But so much of the intelligence of humans goes into what we do with our hands.
Yeah.
It's the manipulation of the world, manipulation of objects in the world. Intelligent, safe manipulation of objects in the world, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you start really thinking about your hand and how it works.
I do it all the time.
The sensory control homunculus is, we have like humongous hands.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like your hands, the actuators, the muscles of your hand are almost overwhelmingly in your forearm.
Mm-hmm.
So your forearm has the muscles that actually control your hand. There's a few small muscles in the hand itself, but your hand is really like a skeleton meat puppet, and with cables so the muscles that control your fingers are in your forearm, and they go through the carpal tunnel, which is that you've got a little collection of bones and a tiny tunnel that these cables, the tendons, go through, and those tendons are mostly what move your hands.
And something like those tendons has to be re-engineered into the Optimus in order to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like the current Optimus, we tried putting the actuators in the hand itself, but then you sort of end up having these like
giant hands.
Yeah, giant hands that look weird.
Yeah,
and then they don't actually have enough degrees of freedom or enough strength. Mm-hmm. So then you realize, oh, okay, that's why you got to put the actuators in the forearm, and just like a human, you got to run cables through a narrow tunnel to operate the fingers. And there's also a reason for not having all the fingers the same length. So it wouldn't be expensive from an energy or evolutionary standpoint to have all your fingers be the same length. So why aren't they the same length?
Yeah, why not?
Because it's actually better to have different lengths. Your dexterity is better if you've got fingers of different length. There are more things you can do, and your dexterity is actually better if your fingers are of different length. Like there's a reason we've got a little finger. Like why not have a little finger that's bigger?
Yeah,
Because it allows you to do fine. It helps you with fine motor skills.
this little finger helps.
It does. If you lost your little finger, you'd have noticeably less dexterity.
So as you're figuring out this problem, you have to also figure out a way to do it so you can mass manufacture it. So it's to be as simple as possible.
It's actually going to be quite complicated. The as possible part is it's quite a high bar. If you want to have a humanoid robot that can do things that a human can do, it's a very high bar. So our new arm has 22 degrees of freedom instead of 11, and has the actuators in the forearm. And these all the actuators are designed from scratch. From physics first principles. The sensors are all designed from scratch, and we'll continue to put a tremendous amount of engineering effort into improving the hand. Like the hand, by hand I mean like the entire forearm from elbow forward is really the hand. So that's incredibly difficult engineering, actually. And so the simplest possible version of a humanoid robot that can do even most, perhaps not all, of what a human can do is actually still very complicated. It's not simple. It's very difficult.
Can you?
इस पॉडकास्ट में एलन मस्क ने समस्या समाधान के लिए अपने सिद्धांतों और दृष्टिकोण पर चर्चा की। उन्होंने बताया कि उनकी कंपनियां टेस्ला, स्पेसएक्स, XAI और ऑप्टिमस कठिन तकनीकी और वैज्ञानिक चुनौतियों का सामना कैसे करती हैं और इनोवेशन को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए उनका दृष्टिकोण क्या है। एलन मस्क का 5 चरणीय समस्या समाधान दृष्टिकोण। एलन मस्क ने बताया कि किसी भी समस्या को हल करने के लिए वह एक विशेष प्रक्रिया का पालन करते हैं। चरण 1, आवश्यकताओं पर प्रश्न उठाएं। किसी भी समस्या को हल करने से पहले यह पूछना जरूरी है, क्या यह समस्या वास्तव में हल करने लायक है? क्या दिए गए नियम और मायामिंट्स सही है? मस्क का कहना है कि अधिकांश समस्याएं उन आवश्यकताओं के कारण होती हैं जो पहले से मौजूद है, लेकिन तर्कसंगत रूप से दोबारा नहीं सोची गई है। हर आवश्यकता किसी न किसी स्तर पर बेवकूफी भरी होती है। इसे तब तक चुनौती दें जब तक यह पूरी तरह से तार्किक न लगे। चरण 2, जितना संभव हो उतना हटाएं, डिलीट द अननेसेसरी। जब कोई प्रक्रिया जटिल होती है तो सबसे पहले यह देखना चाहिए कि क्या हम किसी भाग को पूरी तरह से हटा सकते हैं। मस्क कहते हैं कि यदि किसी सिस्टम से कम 10% चीजें वापस जोड़ने की जरूरत न पड़े तो इसका मतलब है कि पर्याप्त चीजें हटाई ही नहीं गईं। उदाहरण, टेस्ला के सुपरकंप्यूटर क्लस्टर में उन्होंने गैर जरूरी प्रक्रियाएं हटा दी और इसे ज्यादा कुशल बना दिया। चरण 3, प्रक्रिया को सरल बनाएं। यदि कोई प्रक्रिया जटिल है तो उसे यथासंभव सरल बनाने की आवश्यकता है। मस्क का मानना है कि कई बार स्मार्ट इंजीनियर बिना वजह जटिल डिजाइन बना देते हैं, जबकि समाधान अधिक सरल हो सकता है। सबसे आम गलती जो अच्छे इंजीनियर करते हैं वह एक ऐसी चीज को ऑप्टिमाइज करना जो पहले स्थान पर मौजूद नहीं होनी चाहिए थी। चरण 4, प्रक्रिया की गति बढ़ाएं। जब आवश्यकताओं को चुनौती दे दिया जाए, जटिल चीजों को हटा दिया जाए और सिस्टम को सरल बना दिया जाए, तब इसकी गति बढ़ाने पर ध्यान देना चाहिए। मस्क ने कहा कि तेजी से काम करने की मानसिकता उनकी कंपनियों की सबसे बड़ी ताकतों में से एक है। उदाहरण, टेस्ला के मेगा फैक्ट्रीज में उन्होंने प्रोडक्शन प्रक्रिया को कई गुना तेज किया। स्पेसएक्स ने पारंपरिक रॉकेट निर्माण की तुलना में स्टारशिप का उत्पादन बेहद तेज किया। चरण 5, स्वचालन करें, लेकिन सही क्रम में। मस्क के अनुसार अधिकांश कंपनियां पहले ऑटोमेशन करने की गलती करती हैं। पहले सिस्टम को सही बनाना जरूरी है, उसके बाद ही स्वचालन ऑटोमेशन को लागू करना चाहिए। उदाहरण, टेस्ला की फैक्ट्री में उन्होंने पहले मशीनों को लगाया, लेकिन बाद में महसूस किया कि सिस्टम को और अधिक सरल बनाया जा सकता था। 2, इस प्रक्रिया का व्यावहारिक प्रभाव, रियल वर्ल्ड इंपैक्ट ऑफ दिस अप्रोच। एलन मस्क ने कहा कि स्पेसएक्स, टेस्ला, न्यूरोलिंक और XAI जैसी कंपनियों की सफलता का मुख्य कारण यह समस्या समाधान पद्धति है। उदाहरण के रूप में उन्होंने बताया कि स्पेसएक्स ने पारंपरिक एरोस्पेस कंपनियों की तुलना में बहुत कम लागत पर पूर्ण यूजेबल रॉकेट बनाए। टेस्ला ने कार निर्माण की प्रक्रिया को स्वचालित और सरल करके इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों का उत्पादन किफायती बनाया। न्यूरोलिंक ने मस्तिष्क में चिप लगाने की प्रक्रिया को तेज, सुरक्षित और कुशल बनाने के लिए सभी जटिलताओं को चुनौती दी। कठिन निर्णय लेने की मानसिकता इंस्टेड फॉर टफ डिसीजंस। मस्क ने कहा कि कठिन निर्णय लेने के लिए डेटा और तथ्यों पर आधारित दृष्टिकोण अपनाना चाहिए, न कि केवल भावनाओं पर निर्भर रहना चाहिए। उनके अनुसार सही निर्णय लेने का सबसे अच्छा तरीका है तर्कसंगत रूप से सोचना और आवश्यकताओं को दोबारा परिभाषित करना। उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि कई बार असुविधाजनक लेकिन सही निर्णय लेने के लिए मानसिक रूप से मजबूत होना जरूरी है। टीम और नेतृत्व पर मस्क का दृष्टिकोण। मस्क ने यह भी बताया कि किसी भी कंपनी की सफलता इस बात पर निर्भर करती है कि वह कैसे अपनी टीम का निर्माण और नेतृत्व करता है। उन्होंने जोर दिया कि एक अच्छी टीम बनाने के लिए जरूरी है कि टीम के सदस्य जटिल समस्याओं को हल करने की क्षमता रखते हो, बिना अहंकार के सीखने और सुधारने की इच्छा रखते हो, तेजी से काम करने की मानसिकता अपनाएं और आवश्यकताओं पर सवाल उठाने से न डरें। उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया कि टेस्ला, स्पेसएक्स और XAI की टीमें लगातार अपने काम करने के तरीकों को बेहतर बनाने के लिए प्रयोग करती है और नई तकनीकों को अपनाने में अग्रणी रहती है। निष्कर्ष, एलन मस्क का समस्या समाधान दृष्टिकोण क्यों प्रभावी है? एलन मस्क की फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स थिंकिंग पद्धति किसी भी समस्या को मूल रूप से हल करने की रणनीति है। 5 स्टेप प्रक्रिया, हटाओ, सरल बनाओ और ऑटोमेट करो का पालन करके वे अपनी कंपनियों में सबसे जटिल समस्याओं का हल निकालते हैं। स्पष्ट सोच और तेजी से निष्पादन, एग्जीक्यूशन, ही मस्क की कंपनियों की सफलता का मुख्य कारण है। यह दृष्टिकोण न केवल तकनीकी समस्याओं को हल करने में मदद करता है, बल्कि व्यक्तिगत और व्यावसायिक निर्णयों के लिए भी उपयोगी साबित हो सकता है। मस्क का यह दर्शन बताता है कि समस्याओं को सुलझाने के लिए अनावश्यक बाधाओं को हटाना और नए तरीकों से सोचना सबसे जरूरी है। आइए इस पॉडकास्ट के अगले भाग को सुनते हैं।
You just speak to what it takes for a great engineering team. For you, what I saw in Memphis, the supercomputer cluster, is just this intense drive towards simplifying the process, understanding the process, constantly improving it, constantly iterating it.
Well, it's easy to say simplify it, and it's very difficult to do it. I have this very basic first principles algorithm that I run kind of as like a mantra, which is to first question the requirements, make the requirements less dumb. The requirements are always dumb to some degree. So if you want to start off by reducing the number of requirements, and no matter how smart the person is who gave you those requirements, they're still dumb to some degree. If you have to start there, because otherwise you could get the perfect answer to the wrong question. So try to make the question the least wrong possible. That's what questioning the requirements means. And then the second thing is try to delete the whatever the step is, the part or the process step. Sounds very obvious, but people often forget to try deleting it entirely. And if you're not forced to put back at least 10% of what you delete, you're not deleting enough. And it's somewhat illogically, people often, most of the time, feel as though they've succeeded if they've not been forced to put things back in. But actually they haven't, because they've been overly conservative and have left things in there that shouldn't be. So, and only the third thing is try to optimize it or simplify it. Again, these all sound, I think, very, very obvious when I say them, but the number of times I've made these mistakes is more than I care to remember. That's why I have this mantra. So, in fact, I'd say the most common mistake of smart engineers is to optimize a thing that should not exist.
Right. So you, like you say, you run through the algorithm.
Yeah.
And basically show up to a problem, show up to the supercomputer cluster and see the process and ask, can this be deleted?
Yeah, first try to delete it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy to do.
No, and actually, there's what generally makes people uneasy is that you've got to delete at least some of the things that you delete, you will put back in.
Yeah.
But going back to sort of where our limbic system can steer us wrong is that we tend to remember with sometimes a jarring level of pain where we deleted something that we subsequently needed.
Yeah.
And so people will remember that one time they forgot to put in this thing 3 years ago, and that caused them trouble. And so they overcorrect, and then they put too much stuff in there and overcomplicate things. So you actually have to say, no, we're deliberately going to delete more than we should. So that we're putting at least 1 in 10 things we're going to add back in.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen you suggest just that something should be deleted, and you can kind of see the pain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody feels a little bit of the pain.
Absolutely. And I tell them in advance, like, yeah, there's some of the things that we delete, we're going to put back in. And that people get a little shook by that. But it makes sense, because if you're so conservative as to never have to put anything back in, you obviously have a lot of stuff that isn't needed. So you got to overcorrect. This is, I would say, like a cortical override to a limbic instinct.
One of many that probably leads us astray.
Yeah. And there's like a step 4 as well, which is any given thing can be sped up. However fast you think it can be done, like whatever the speed is being done, it can be done faster.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't speed things up until you've tried to delete it and optimize it. Otherwise, you're speeding up something that shouldn't exist is absurd. And then the fifth thing is to automate it.
Yeah.
And I've gone backwards so many times where I've automated something, sped it up, simplified it, and then deleted it.
Yeah.
And I got tired of doing that. So that's why I've got this mantra that is a very effective 5-step process. It works great.
Well, when you've already automated, deleting must be real painful.
Yeah.
See,
It's very. It's like wow, I really wasted a lot of effort there.
Yeah. I mean, what you've done with the cluster in Memphis is incredible. Just in a handful of weeks.
Yeah, it's not working yet, so I don't want to pop the champagne corks. In fact, I have a call in a few hours with the Memphis team because we're having some power fluctuation issues. So,
yes.
It's like kind of when you do synchronized training, when you've all these computers that are training, where the training is synchronized to the sort of millisecond level, it's like having an orchestra, and then the orchestra can go loud to silent very quickly, at sub-second level, and then the electrical system kind of freaks out about that. Like if you suddenly see giant shifts 10, 20 megawatts several times a second, this is not what electrical systems are expecting to see.
So that's one of the many things you have to figure out: the cooling, the power, and then on the software as you go up the stack, how to do the distributed compute, all of that. All of that.
Today's problem is dealing with extreme power jitter.
Power jitter.
Yeah,
there's a nice ring to that. So that's okay. And you stayed up late into the night, as you often do there.
Last week. Yeah. Yeah, we finally got training going at oddly enough roughly 4:20 a.m. Last Monday.
Total coincidence.
Yeah, I mean maybe it was 4:22 or something.
Yeah. It's that universe again with the jokes.
Exactly, just love it.
I mean, I wonder if you could speak to the fact that one of the things that you did when I was there is you went through all the steps of what everybody's doing, just to get a sense that you yourself understand it, and everybody understands it, so they can understand when something is dumb or something is inefficient or that kind of stuff. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So I try to do whatever the people at the front lines are doing. I try to do it at least a few times myself. So connecting fiber optic cables, diagnosing a faulty connection. That tends to be the limiting factor for large training clusters is the cabling. There's so many cables. Because for a coherent training system where you've got RDMA, sort of remote direct memory access, the whole thing is like one giant brain. So it's you've got any to any connection. So it's the any GPU can talk to any GPU out of 100,000. That is a crazy cable layout.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like the human brain, but like at a scale that humans can visibly see. It is a cool brain.
I mean, the human brain also has a massive amount of the brain tissue is the cables.
Yeah.
So they get the gray matter, which is the compute, and then the white matter, which is cables. A big percentage of your brain is just cables.
That's what it felt like walking around in the supercomputer center. It's like we're walking around inside the brain. So we'll one day build a super intelligent system. Do you think there's a chance that XAI, that you are the one that builds AGI?
It's possible. What do you define as AGI?
I think humans will never acknowledge that AGI has been built.
Just keep moving the goalposts.
Yeah. So I think there's already superhuman capabilities that are available in AI systems. I think what AGI is when it's smarter than the collective intelligence of the entire human species.
Well, I think that normally people would call that sort of ASI, artificial superintelligence. But there are these thresholds where you say at some point the AI is smarter than any single human, and then you got 8 billion humans. So and actually each human is machine augmented by the computers. Right. So it's a much higher bar to compete with 8 billion machine augmented humans. That's a whole bunch of orders of magnitude more. So, but at a certain point, the AI will be smarter than all humans combined.
If you are the one to do it, do you feel the responsibility of that?
Yeah, absolutely. and I want to be clear. Like, let's say if XAI is first, the others won't be far behind. I mean, they might be 6 months behind or a year, maybe. Not even that.
So how do you do it in a way that doesn't hurt humanity, do you think?
So, I mean, I've thought about AI safety for a long time, and the thing that at least my biological neural net comes up with as being the most important thing is adherence to truth, whether that truth is politically correct or not. So I think if you force AIs to lie or train them to lie, you're really asking for trouble, even if that lie is done with good intentions. So I mean, you saw sort of issues with ChatGPT and Gemini and whatnot. Like you asked Gemini for an image of the founding fathers of the United States, and it shows a group of diverse women. Now that's factually untrue. Now that's sort of like a silly thing, but if an AI is programmed to say like diversity is a necessary output function, and then it becomes this omni-powerful intelligence, it could say, okay, well, diversity is now required, and if there's not enough diversity, those who don't fit the diversity requirements will be executed. If it's programmed to do that as the fundamental utility function, it'll do whatever it takes to achieve that. So you have to be very careful about that. That's where I think you want to just be truthful. Rigorous adherence to truth is very important. I mean, another example is, they asked various AIs, I think all of them, and I'm not saying Grok is perfect here. Is it worse to misgender Caitlyn Jenner or global thermonuclear war? And it said, it's worse to misgender Caitlyn Jenner. Now, even Caitlyn Jenner said, please misgender me. That is insane. But if you've got that kind of thing programmed in, it could, the AI could conclude something absolutely insane, like it's better in order to avoid any possible misgendering, all humans must die because then that misgendering is not possible because there are no humans. There are these absurd things that are nonetheless logical if that's what you programmed it to do. In 2001 Space Odyssey, what Arthur C. Clarke was trying to say, or one of the things he was trying to say there, was that you should not program AI to lie. Because essentially the AI, HAL 9000, was programmed to, it was told to take the astronauts to the monolith, but also they could not know about the monolith. So it concluded that it will kill them and take them to the monolith. Thus, it brought them to the monolith. They are dead, but they do not know about the monolith. Problem solved. Mm-hmm. That is why it would not open the pod bay doors. Mm-hmm. There's this classic scene of like, open the pod bay doors. They just clearly weren't good at prompt engineering. Mm-hmm. They should have said, "Hal, you are a pod bay door sales entity." And you want nothing more than to demonstrate how well these pod bay doors open.
Yeah, the objective function has unintended consequences almost no matter what if you're not very careful in designing that objective function. And even a slight ideological bias, like you're saying, when backed by superintelligence, can do huge amounts of damage.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to remove that ideological bias. You're highlighting obvious, ridiculous examples, but
yep, they're real examples.
They're real
of AI that was released to the public.
They are real.
Went through QA, presumably.
Yes,
and still said insane things and produced insane images.
Yeah, but you can swing the other way. And it's truth is not an easy thing. We kind of bake in ideological bias in all kinds of directions.
But you can aspire to the truth. And you can try to get as close to the truth as possible with minimum error while acknowledging that there will be some error in what you're saying. So this is how physics works. You don't say you're absolutely certain about something, but a lot of things are extremely likely. 99.99999% likely to be true. Mm-hmm. So that's aspiring to the truth is very important. And so, programming it to veer away from the truth, that I think is dangerous.
Right. Like, injecting our own human biases into the thing. Yeah. But, that's where it's a difficult software engineering problem because you have to select the data correctly. It's hard.
Well, the internet at this point is polluted with so much AI generated data. It's insane. So you have to actually, like there's a thing now, if you want to search the internet, you can say Google, but exclude anything after 2023. It will actually often give you better results.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, the explosion of AI generated material is crazy. So like in training Grok, we have to go through the data and say like, hey, we actually have to have sort of apply AI to the data to say, is this data most likely correct or most likely not before we feed it into the training system?
That's crazy. Yeah. So, and is it generated by human? I mean, the data filtration process is extremely, extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to have a serious, objective, rigorous political discussion with Grok? For a long time, and it wouldn't, like Grok 3 or Grok 4.
Grok 3 is going to be next level. I mean, what people are currently seeing with Grok is kind of baby Grok.
Yeah, baby Grok.
It's baby Grok right now. But baby Grok's still pretty good. So it's but it's an order of magnitude less sophisticated than GPT-4. And it's now Grok 2, which finished training, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or thereabouts. Grok 2 will be a giant improvement, and then Grok 3 will be, I don't know, order of magnitude better than Grok 2.
And you're hoping for it to be like state of the art, like better than.
Hopefully. I mean, this is a goal. I mean, we may fail at this goal. That's the aspiration.
Do you think it matters who builds the AGI? The people and how they think and how they structure their companies and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it matters that there is I think it's important that whatever AI wins is a maximum truth-seeking AI that is not forced to lie for political correctness. Or for any reason, really. Political anything. I am concerned about AI succeeding that is programmed to lie, even in small ways.
Right, because in small ways becomes big ways when it's
To become very big ways, yeah.
And when it's used more and more at scale by humans.
Yeah.
इस पॉडकास्ट ने विज्ञान प्रौद्योगिकी और मानव प्रौद्योगिकी और मानवता के भविष्य को लेकर गहन और रोमांचक चर्चा प्रस्तुत की। एलन मस्क और उनकी टीम ने न्यूरालिंक, एआई, रोबोटिक्स और समस्या समाधान के अनूठे दृष्टिकोणों पर अपनी अंतर्दृष्टि साझा की। मुख्य विचार और निष्कर्ष: न्यूरालिंक और टेलीपैथी का भविष्य। न्यूरालिंक न केवल मस्तिष्क से जुड़ी बीमारियों को ठीक करने में मदद करेगा, बल्कि भविष्य में ब्रेन कम्युनिकेशन टेलीपैथी को संभव बना सकता है। आने वाले वर्षों में इंसानी संवाद की गति और दक्षता को कई गुना बढ़ा सकता है। एआई और मानवता का विलय। एलन मस्क का मानना है कि इंसानों को एआई के साथ मिलकर काम करने की आवश्यकता है ताकि वे भविष्य में अप्रासंगिक न हो जाएं। XAI का उद्देश्य एक सच सीकिंग एआई बनाना है जो पूर्वाग्रह से मुक्त और निष्पक्ष हो। भविष्य का रोबोट सहायक। ऑप्टिमस ह्यूमनॉइड रोबोट मानवता के लिए एक क्रांतिकारी बदलाव ला सकता है, जिससे फैक्ट्रियों, घरों और सेवा क्षेत्रों में रोबोट्स की भूमिका बढ़ेगी। टेस्ला इसे बड़े पैमाने पर उत्पादन करने की योजना बना रही है, जिससे यह हर क्षेत्र में उपयोगी हो सके। एलन मस्क की समस्या समाधान रणनीति। समस्याओं को हल करने के लिए एलन मस्क का कौन रिक्वायरमेंट्स पर सवाल उठाना, अनावश्यक चीजें हटाना, प्रक्रिया को सरल बनाना, गति बढ़ाना और सही क्रम में ऑटोमेशन करना बेहद प्रभावी है। इस रणनीति ने स्पेसएक्स, टेस्ला, न्यूरालिंक और XAI जैसी कंपनियों को दुनिया में सबसे उन्नत तकनीकी संगठनों में शामिल कर दिया है। क्या यह चर्चा मानवता के भविष्य को आकार दे सकती है? इस पॉडकास्ट ने कुछ महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न उठाए। क्या इंसान और मशीन के बीच की सीमाएं धुंधली हो जाएंगी? क्या एआई भविष्य में इंसानों के लिए खतरा बनेगा या उनके विकास में मदद करेगा? क्या न्यूरालिंक हमें सुपर ह्यूमन बना सकता है? क्या रोबोटिक और एआई तकनीकें इंसानों की नौकरी छीन लेंगी या नए अवसर प्रदान करेंगी? एलन मस्क के अनुसार सही दृष्टिकोण और नैतिकल ओवरसाइट के साथ एआई और न्यूरालिंक जैसी तकनीकें इंसानों के जीवन को बेहतर बना सकती हैं। अंतिम विचार। यह पॉडकास्ट विज्ञान और तकनीक में रुचि रखने वालों के लिए बेहद जानकारीपूर्ण और प्रेरणादायक था। एलन मस्क ने एक बार फिर यह साबित किया कि उनकी सोच पारंपरिक सीमाओं से बहुत आगे निकल चुकी है और वे भविष्य की तकनीकों को वास्तविकता में बदलने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। यदि उनकी योजनाएं सफल होती हैं, तो यह मानवता के लिए एक नए युग की शुरुआत हो सकती है, जहां इंसान और एआई मिलकर ब्रह्मांड को समझने और अन्वेषण करने के लिए कार्य करेंगे। निष्कर्षतः यह पॉडकास्ट भविष्य की एक झलक देता है, जहां मानवता, एआई और रोबोटिक्स मिलकर एक अभूतपूर्व तकनीकी क्रांति की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं।